Welcome to part 2 of Grandpa Dougo slideshow, Melbourne Cavities. When I did episode 1, it was a bit rushed. It took longer than I thought, and I had other real-world issues. So I wanted to tell you a few things about the early days of Cave Clan, and this might help make these videos might make more sense. When Cave Clan started, there was no urbex scene. So we had drains. Then we started finding bridge rooms and other things, and we called them cavities. So we had a location list for drains and cavities. Cavities were sort of anything underground that wasn't a drain. Bridge rooms, service tunnels, train tunnels, mines. That'd be the main few. And then we had topside stuff, which is just about any kind of abandoned building you can think of. Prisons, churches, schools, power stations, abandoned anything. Then we had infiltration, which that term came around thanks to Ninjalicious. And infiltration is just where you might go into an abandoned building and just literally just walk in. Infiltration is normally where, I don't know, you might pick locks or things like that, and you've got to get in. Technically, you're infiltrating drains, but they're not abandoned. I know some people like to say they're abandoned, but abandoned means, people have left. It wasn't like there was a bunch of people working in drain apart from when they're building it, so they're not abandoned. And some you need to infiltrate more than others, like you might have to get over a fence. But cavities can be a lot more dangerous when you're infiltrating them. Some cavities, like service tunnels, big risk. I don't do any of this stuff anymore. And then infiltration into topsides, which a lot of them you do. A lot of topside locations involve infiltration. Roof-topping, which is linked to topsides. Although sometimes some people just do roof-topping. They'll go into an active skyscraper in the city. I've never really been into that. I mean, I've done a little bit of roof-topping on top of power stations and things like that, but I don't go out of my way to do it. All these types of locations are all brought together by one thing: drains, infiltration, cavities, topsides, roof-topping. You think it's going to say Cave Clan, but beer. No, it's Cave Clan. Before we start, I just wanted to mention a few points. These aren't all my photos. They were submitted to me, such as annual Clannies video. I get heaps of photos from people. Il Drano, the Cave Clan newsletter. My videos in general. Instagram, some people have actually given me photos to put on Instagram. Most people in the Cave Clan used to be like, yep, just use them. And I haven't kept the details of whose photos they are. What I should have done is each time I got a digital photo, I should have put the person's name in the title and the title of the location. And when I got printed photos, I should have written that on the back. Then the Christchurch guys came along and it started to get all sort of secret squirrels and, you can't use my photos, man. Yeah, so they're not all my photos. And, I'm happy to, in the description of each video, I'm happy to add photos were taken by whoever. If you want, let me know. It's not an issue. I can even blur it out if you really want. Don't ask me where these places are. You'll notice in this video, I will be telling you where some locations are because they're basically almost tourist places, some of them. There's a couple that I'm mentioning to basically tell you not to go in there, which sounds a bit counterproductive, but yeah, it's getting pretty bad with certain locations. So these are only Melbourne locations, except I've put Portsea and Queenscliff Army tunnels in there, mainly because they were set up to guard Melbourne from attack by the Russians, back when they thought the Russians might attack. So, and they're sort of on the peninsula as a gateway to Port Phillip Bay, which is, Port Phillip Bay is about as Melbourne as you get. Just a little warning that trespass is trespass. I am talking about these locations in a historical manner. I may talk about if you go in them, if you do this. My official stance is you shouldn't. I'm showing you these videos so you can see something that we did years ago. Trespass is trespass, but having said that, there's not just one level of trespass. There's ones that are linked to terrorism and stuff like that, so security and all that sort of thing. As I said, my official stance is don't break the law and trespass. One of the locations that can be a lot of fun is the South Channel Fort. I'm not going to say much about it because it's out there in the open. I've told you the name of it. You need to get over there on a boat, and it's quite a busy shipping area or boating area, so be a bit careful. One of the first things that Cave Clan explored outside of drains, mines and caves were bridge rooms, and if you can be bothered, I've got a Bell Street video. Have a look at that. That'll tell you a bit about bridge rooms. The one here in this photo is, I'm not even going to mention where it is, it's not that good anyway. It's probably one of the worst bridge rooms. That's a really old photo, you can tell, it's Polaroid, so it's from the 1980s. Some of the things that we explore, like this, I think this is called Tim's Cave or something. It's not even urbex, but I guess once they put a metal gate on it, it seems more urbex-ish. That's down at Portsea. The Warrandyte River diversion could be dangerous. You could easily slip over and smash your head and drown, but people just walk through it, so it's something different. They diverted the Yarra so that for gold mining. What's it called? Alluvial or whatever. One thing that's a bit tricky is that we used to call short drains cavities. We had them on a cavity list, so you might have a drain like this one, which means it's not a long drain. We've changed that now, and now when we do the drain list, we just have a logo meaning this is a short drain / underpass. So, but if you see some of our old lists, you'll see some drains referred to as cavities, that's why. This bridge room, I'm tempted to mention where it is, but it was really hard to get into, and it wasn't too bad actually. It might be Queen's Parade. This was the ventilation of a mine party zone we used to have called The Cave. It's sort of in metropolitan Melbourne, and it's a lot of fun. It's pretty cool. I've heard rumours it used to be used to keep meat cool back in the day, and maybe it was used by people smuggling alcohol from the Melbourne River. Then bring the boat up and bring the alcohol and put it in this mine. There's a few stories behind it. I don't know what's accurate. I know that we had a few parties in there and had a good time. One year, Bourbon, the stormwater drain, the sewer burst and flooded into it. We were there at the cave the cave, it used to be called, the cave. We were having a party in the morning. We just smelled shit, and we looked into the Melbourne River, and it was just all like browner than usual. It was all shit from Bourbon stormwater drain. This bridge room's locked up a bit now. It's a lot of fun, but it's dangerous, like you can see there. And those things are probably, unless they've repaired it, I'd say they have to have repaired it. It's locked up a lot now, but we used to have parties here, and there's one. It used to stink of possum poo. It's not the best party zone. It's not even the best bridge room, to be honest. This is Watts Creek. It's another location I mentioned, but check it out. We tried finding it. There's supposed to be aqueduct tunnels along here. We did find these little sections like this. And this is like 30 years ago, so I doubt if there's anything there. But it's quite long, but we didn't check it out super well. Everyone's heard about the Northcote Army tunnels. They turned out being a bit of a dud. They were just like an old mine thing. These guys dug away at it for like over a year. I had a look in there, but yeah, it wasn't too exciting, to be honest. It's backfilled now. Portsea. These are the old Portsea. These aren't part of the tour. So if you ever go down to the heads, if you're fit and healthy, so these are all part of the tour there, I think. Maybe, but there's other areas where there's old, like properly abandoned army tunnels that'll be worth a look at. Queenscliff, which has gotten harder and harder to do. Parts of it you can't even get into anymore. That was one of my first pre-clan things when we went on a school camp and we went into the Queenscliff Army tunnels. I just remember thinking, geez, I love this kind of stuff. But Queenscliff Army tunnels are really, really good. And there's some old pencil graffiti in certain areas. You look up on the roof in certain little bits and you'll see the graffiti from the soldiers and written in grey lead. But yeah, it's really hard to get into now. I'm not going to mention the name of this, but you all know what it is. It's really secure now. They put a fence around it. They've got cameras. It's alarmed. I don't know. I'm sure some crazy people do it, but the thing I used to like about this was when you stand up, because it's at that angle, and you stand and stare at it at the bottom once you're inside, it used to do this weird thing where you feel like it's standing up because you've got nothing, like you're just looking straight up, and then suddenly the tower just feels like it's standing up, and when you watch people doing it, you actually see their bodies start to sway back. It's a pretty cool optical illusion. We used to go up the outside of it, which I'll try and sneak a photo in. There's a Bell Street bridge room. That's the first bridge room we ever did. To get to the other side, you just have to climb across, as you can see Gilligan and Carla doing in that photo. It was a good bridge room to explore, but it was pretty shitty. That's inside the main end. Dum Da Da Dum is a really good bridge room. That was found by Bob, and he basically, when he took me there to show me, he opened up the manhole, and he goes, dun da da dun, because when you look in, you see this walkway, and it's sort of all like, not just a ladder going down to the ground, it's sort of walkways and steps and all this kind of shit. So that's why it's called Dum Da Da Dum. And you can see there it's quite good for a bridge room. Bridge rooms can be quite boring. Dungoys, which is named after my editorial alias. It's on a not a bad little bridge room. It's hard to get into, and it's a lot of risk involved in it. And yet there's a chances are you'll get the police onto you. You have to be really careful. Once again, it's trespassing. I wouldn't recommend it. I can't actually remember what we called this bridge room, but that thing that Bob's standing on there is actually the bike track. It goes through the bridge room in the western suburbs on the Maribyrnong River somewhere. And last time I went there, that thing that he's climbing on, people had like smashed holes in it. I think they rebuilt I think that's more sort of temporary there. But it was an interesting bridge room, but I'm pretty sure it's changed now. This one is called Gas Chamber. It's an interesting bridge room. Trinity actually was sliding down the outside of it and fell off the edge, and cars were bipping and honking. We were like, oh no. And then since then, that was like 30 years ago, since then someone else fell off it again and, seriously injured themselves out there, all right. So, yeah, Gas Chamber, definitely one, be careful with it and don't drink and if someone hasn't been there, make sure they're aware of the dangers, which is falling. Ted Whitten's, obviously you know the name of it. Ted Whitten's changed, the entrance has changed since these photos. Got a scary story about a drug dealer who hid, I think, 1 or 2 people in there, cuffed them, tied them up, and was going to kill them unless they got their money. Also, another time we went there and there was a heap of Uzi shells, so I think it was Uzis, whatever. Ted Whitten's is a famous bridge room, but nowadays it's all but blocked up and alarmed and everything. People don't use it anymore. But it was a nice bridge room. Same with TWL. TWL, every door's alarmed. It's like a lot of work to get in, and police. I think it's linked up to the counter-terrorism thing, so that's the other thing of a lot of these bridge rooms. A lot of these photos are from when it was being built. So that's why they're... But TWL is good. I did it a few times. I think we were the first people to drive over it in a forklift. We, there you go, speak of the devil. We all jumped on, about 6 of us. We covered the flashing light with a cap. And, so instead of walking all the way back, because it was kilometres long, we got a lift back. So, yeah, we are awesome. Then we had TWL towers. Look, you can figure out what it is. People will be complaining, you shouldn't put photos of this on. These photos are all pretty old. I have heard people getting into them, and I know that it pisses off the authorities because there's another counter-terrorism location that they're worried about. And same thing again, a lot of these we got into when they were being built. Nowadays it's really hard. You need a boat. You've got to walk across jagged rocks. It's alarmed. It has, it's got a door on it now. It used to be just a hatch. It's locked, but it was a lot of fun. We actually walked across from one tower to the other. Normally I wouldn't mention this one either, but this bridge room, I won't mention what it is, but it's a pretty famous one. And then we had this giant ladder, but you can't see in that photo, but it's actually maybe the next angle you'll see, but we had to put it on all these boxes and stuff. There you can see it's on a float, and then there's stuff underneath it you can't see in that photo. But when we rocked up to do it, they were in there. There was a truck with, and we were like, holy crap. Like, that was such a small world, such a coincidence. But the highlight of this bridge room, apart from being in that bridge room, was the toilets. I had the toilet in the middle of it, which I think just went down to the Yarra. But that was a good one to do, although you can only do a third of it. You can only either do one end, the other end, or the middle section. I've never done the middle section, and I doubt anyone could unless you were a worker. Williamstown car park, I doubt that's still there now, although someone told me it was there like less than 10 years ago. But above that's a car park, so just like the basement of a building, and inside, yeah, you got all, but on top of it was just a car park. But I'd say that's gone. Another one that I wouldn't normally put on would be the City Loop. We used to explore it because we like tunnels. Look, I'll just leave this little pointer that and the sensors and alarms and everything now. But you can see there, we're sort of more just exploring it. We weren't into graffitiing it or vandalising it or anything like that. We were just like checking it out. But there were people in the cave paint that got into every little part of it and every nook and cranny, but I wasn't really that into it. Brunswick Brick Kilns, that was a really cool location. It could also be a topside location, but because it had like that little tunnel and then the bigger tunnels, then around the kilns, I think we included it as a cavity and a topside. But we had a lot of fun there. But there's still signs of it. Brunswick, we call it Brunswick Brick Kilns. I think they might have left 2 of them or something, but they definitely left 1, and they have it like, go have a look. I can't remember the street, but just look it up, you'll find it. Diamond Creek Mines is just where the cave clan started. Out of all the locations, this is probably the one I would say do not go to it. People still message me trying to find it. It's so dangerous now. It's like collapsed and falling in, and they built houses up above it, and lots of it caved in. I'm pretty sure this section here, Woody abseiling in, is totally gone now, I think. I haven't seen it in years, and I haven't heard anyone else say they found it. That's me wearing my boxing kangaroo flag when we won the America's Cup. I think that's Sloth in the blue shirt. Warrandyte Mines, they're another one, just a tourist thing. But they've been locked up a lot too. But you're allowed to go into where you can, and you'll come across gates. But people are like dug under them and all that. There you go, VB devil worshippers. Another couple of nice little tunnels that weren't that interesting, but if you're in an area where I used to call them gas pipeline tunnels, and there was 2. There was one near Clifton Hill Station, which is this one. This is the Rushall Station one, which I've been told, well, they were locked up, but I think now they might have been buried, I reckon. There's no way into them now, I think. And they also be the same pipeline that goes over the Fairfield Boathouse. There's a pipeline, there's a bridge there, and that's what that bridge was for, the footbridge. These things, I've only been to them once. There's 2. One's in Portsea, one's in Sorrento. Probably good if you want to skate or do some graffiti. You can see Flirt up the back there. Look, they're easy to find. You just find them. You just scroll through Google Maps. Actually, I'll chuck them up. There's one. You can see some streets and that nearby. I don't think you need to trespass. I think you just wander in. The fucking car park was interesting. It was used for a reservoir, and Melbourne Water turned it into a car park. Oh, there you go. That's a better shot of it. So you can see the ramps going. They built, but I got a feeling it used to be a gasometer. This is one of Jazz's Gippy locations. He's got quite a few little spots like this. I can't mention where it is. I actually didn't change his face in these photos. That's his real face. So now you know what he looks like. He knows a lot of nice little locations, the old Jazz. This one, I'm definitely not mentioning where this is. Once again, I'm only mentioning this because it's secured and alarmed up, but it's another type of thing that you could look for. Like old dams, they sometimes have gallery tunnels inside them. This is one that's an idea, but dangerous. Stormwater harvesting. So like they build these big things, and then they use the water for watering local gardens and that, parks and things like that. They're popping up all over the place. I'm not really that interested in them. Death Star. If you want to see more about Death Star, I've got a pretty good tribute video to it. Search my account for Death Star. It shows you quite a bit of the history of it. One of the best locations, but once again, it's the nature of urbex. So many locations are blocked up. If any of these locations you're like, oh, we can still get in, don't mention it in comments or whatever. Dreadnought, which was found by Pink, a member of the New School Cave Clan back in the day. Thanks to ISO for these photos of them building it. It was an amazing location. You know, like it's blocked off again. They've put metal plates over it and all that sort of shit. My favourite video is, I think you search for like $10,000 reward or something like that and you'll find it. I should write them down, shouldn't I? As Hatchet used to say, it's all about planning, preparation, planning. Yeah, Dreadnought is a sewer. Basically, if a sewer collapses or gets blocked or can't handle the load, it flows into here, same as Death Star, and then they just purify the water before it gets pumped out into local waterways. I think that's the gist of what they are. Or they're party locations for Cave Clan. Most of these places that get blocked up are just because people like are tagging in there or drop the manholes, things like that, when normally Cave Clan wise pretty careful with them. Some issues happened here when some people started tagging in Dreadnought because we made the mistake of tagging in Death Star, thinking at first that we were never going to go back there. So people thought, that's okay, we'll tag in Dreadnought. And it was like, no, they copped heaps of shit for it. That's not Dreadnought, is it? Oh, yeah. Just looks different lighting or something. I'm not going to go on too much about Wormhole because I've got, I think, 3 videos. As I mentioned it in the episode 1 of the Grandpa Dougo's slide night. Back when we first found it, it was pretty cool. This is the only way you could get in, and for the bigger boys, it was pretty tight. But it was lots of fun, and it was a really good location. There used to be weird stuff stuck in there, like false teeth in the mud, condoms, snakes, like tiger snakes. We saw baby tiger snakes in there once. But there, have a good look there. This is all when it was that ring road, the Western Ring Road end. That's not a door in the middle. It looks like it, but it's just a a thing in the concrete. It's definitely not a door. But you can see it used to keep getting dug into everything. So that shot on the left is showing like there's a work site up above, and they just kept digging into it. So it kept getting shorter and shorter. We actually dug out that day. You can see we're digging out, and we actually ended up climbing out. And then I think when we went back next time, we took some other people back, and it was bricked off. So it got shorter and shorter, and then eventually got turned into a drain. I think I said in the last video, people were complaining about losing the location, but at least it preserves some of it now. This is another one called Wormholia, part of the same system. It's closer to Werribee, and luckily someone had cut the wire away when we went and checked it out. Apart from these Ash Gilbertson photos make it look awesome, it actually just goes to a dead end. I can't remember, but it's like a 20-minute walk each way of this identical tunnel. No doors or anything like that. I'm wondering if that little pipe they're standing on is a little pipe in the photo I mentioned about Bob. No, that's too far away actually. That wouldn't be the ring road. Sewers, as a rule, Cave Clan don't do sewers, but we did try and get into the Western Trunk sewer. This is Prowler, who the Pooh Man from Melbourne Clan. I don't know who that is. That could be Prowler too. I know that's Quasi, I reckon. Other locations I would never tell you about this one, except now it's been turned into it's shops and a theaterette and everything. This is under the shrine, the Melbourne Shrine. That was how we used to get in, and then you walk through this tunnel and you come out. The whole of the shrine hill was man-made. That was really cool. There you go. It was just all stuff like that. What they did was when they got rid of the 1 cent and 2 cent pieces in Australia, they said, give us all your 1 and 2 cent pieces, and all the money that people donated they used to do it up. And now if you go to the shrine, go down in the basement and you'll see how obvious it is. The red bricks are still there and everything. So when I mentioned infiltration, these sort of tunnels, like steam tunnels or service tunnels, so someone dobbed us in that we were going to do it, and it just led to this big coal bust. All the ways we got in are blocked off. It used to be really easy to get into. One of Gunny's mates, I forget of his name now, but he dobbed us in. So a couple of people ended up having to go to court. But you can see it's a pretty cool location. I'm just showing you these photos. They've been in Ildrono and they've been around. I'm just showing you these photos to show you what a cool location it was. And there was little holes in walls that went through to... And it was then there was a steam tunnel that went from one location to the other. That's it there on the left. I think I told the story in a podcast about Bathory vomiting as he's running away from the authorities. But yeah, and then there's this old section of it like this. I think that's when you go through the hole in the wall and you just get this old, like Freddy Krueger type, And then when you get back at the end, you can give yourself a little shower. They're some of my favourite tunnels, but I don't do them anymore. I haven't done these in decades because, this is another service tunnel. This one was really fun. You actually crawl through a side tunnel and you come out at the theaterette, the movie theatre, and you actually open a little door and you're actually right next to people queuing up. These are telecom tunnels. We've been actually hassled by federal police not to go in them, and we don't. These are really odd. I'm only putting this up to say I've heard that people are getting into it again. I've also heard from Telstra people that they are seriously cracking down on it, and they're going to, if they catch anyone in there, they're going to go after them. And the fact that, if you get in there, you're setting off alarms. They know you're in there. I know people are like, oh, yeah, no, they're so cool, I want to do them. Don't do them. And once again, especially because there's triple O lines and that in there. I try not to swear in these videos nowadays, but you'll get fucked over. And I have heard that people are doing... I know this is like rubbing it in your face. I'm not putting it on here saying you should go and do it. They're good. I'm putting it on here saying do not do the telecom tunnels. Okay, well, that's number 2 down. I don't feel like it went as well as... I've actually got a head cold. Called it off my daughter. I'm just sort of trying to get this out before my voice goes. Yeah, I don't think that went as well, but still, I hope you got something out of it. Once I edit it back, it should be tight and neat, flowing, hopefully. All right. Not even sure what number 3 is going to be at the moment, but yeah, you get the gist by now. Just me talking about photos. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.